2. Check 1. Check 2. And we're live. Oh, man. Tony Bennett has left the building. Welcome, everybody. Mark Sconti reporting on the sex scene from Oppenheimer, the movie. You heard about the movie? I saw it. I'm speaking firsthand. I'm one of the very few people in America and abroad who has seen the great movie Oppenheimer, movie about Oppenheimer. If you don't know what the story is, Oppenheimer was the lead scientist who was commissioned to build a super bomb to create the largest explosion man has ever created on his own. And they created the atomic bomb. We're working on the hydrogen bomb. And Oppenheimer was able to produce 2 significant bombs. And what happened? The government it was commissioned by the United States government. And once the products were ready, Truman took those products and dropped them on fucking Japan's head, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So a fascinating story. I think it was well told. It was very Hollywood, Jewish Hollywood, fucking, a little bit. It didn't have that incredibly brilliant spark, but it was decent storytelling. But the big story there is that the Hindus over there in India are pissed off because of a sex scene. There was a sex scene, it was a sex scene. And I thought it was, I don't think it was in poor taste at all. They were reading from the Bhagavad Gita, whatever, one of these very sacred, religious books in Sanskrit. And it was basically, it's Krishna, right? It's the story of Krishna advising a warrior to finish his work, right? And apparently Oppenheimer was able to read a little Sanskrit, and the chick, while they were having sex, asked him to read a caption from it. I don't find that distasteful at all. I don't find that, get off your fucking religion, man, right? It's not about that. Shiva and Krishna and these people that precede Christianity, they had sex too. But anyway, it was a good movie, and I'll talk more about the movie. Also, Elon Musk has rid the world of the blue Twitter fucking logo. No more blue bird for Twitter. It's gone, and Elon Musk has successfully replaced it with an X. Fascinating, right? I think it's good branding, good marketing. Elon Musk is clever. He's ditching the bird for an X. And Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, they now have a best friend of Hunter Biden saying that quid pro quo Joe and his son, Hunter, would get Joe Biden on the phone many, many times in his experience, in his eyewitness testimony, and do Burisma deals, getting the support of then Vice President Joe Biden on the phone, while Hunter Biden was making $100,000 a year for doing $100,000 a month for doing absolutely fucking nothing at Burisma, other than connecting the bosses of Burisma to Daddy for a favor. That's bribery. That's quid pro quo. That's using your position of power to influence, direct influence. Your son is taking direct money for something. It's not a donation. It's not going through donationary channels. You're giving the money to the son, who then channels the money back directly to the President of the United States. That is fucked up. That's Banana Republic shit. And it's coming out more and more Thank you, newly minted Republicans pushing the issue in Congress. Right. We're all trying to lock each other up these days, right? That's what politics has become. The Democrats are trying to lock up Trump and anybody around Trump. And now the Republicans are pushing back, trying to lock up Biden and everybody around Biden. But in that process, the revelations are fascinating, right? That we have quid pro quo at these levels. It doesn't seem that anything Trump did in his reign of presidency, there's nothing that quite comes even close to what the Democrats do in terms of bribery and taking money and offering favors. Trump just had a vision. Trump was a visionary. You know, he said, stop the killing. You want to stop the war in Ukraine. Doesn't matter who wins. You want to stop the killing. Right? Two-party solution in Israel, de-arm or at least make friends with North Korea. Trump was on the right side of all that history. And certainly there would be no collapse of Ukraine if it wasn't for Joe Biden directly trying to invoke his influence on the president there, and then having that collapse, and then Putin fills in the power vacuum. Nonetheless, what else we got? And Israel. Israel is the Israeli people are not happy tonight. Netanyahu is back in power, the right-wing extremist, pushing religion and state as one, the Jewish state of Israel. No, that wasn't the intention. And it does seem 50 or 60 years later, all the things that we heard about the Holocaust and the poor Jews who got fried in the ovens in Germany are now turning around in a full revolution around and doing many of those things. They haven't thrown them in the oven yet, but to the Palestinian people, but they're doing everything that was done to them. Everything the Germans did to the Jews are doing to the Palestinians. Vilify, take away their property, condemn them, all that shit, right? Throw shit bombs at their houses so they move out. That's what they do. That's what they do in Israel. They go into the Gaza Strip and they hose in fucking sewerage, right? They get like sewer bombs, like shit bombs, and spray the homes and properties of the Palestinian people there, forcing them out, right? And then when the smell fucking quiets down, the Jew takes it. But anyway, so did you want to? I guess the big question is: did Hollywood deliberately try to ruffle the feathers of the Sanskrit community, the people who read that stuff, the religious bunch? I don't think so. I think Hollywood it's got the Hollywood Jew. They're not gonna. They did it because they think it's interesting. It's interesting that but Krishna was talking about war and the duty of war, which is what Oppenheimer was contemplating as he developed and dropped the bomb. He didn't drop it. Truman dropped it. But certainly when the bomb was dropped, Oppenheimer realized that he had become the administrator of death. That his optimism was that if Oppenheimer's optimism was simple, he saw it as if we show the world through experience, actually blowing this thing up on somebody, how devastating it is, that would end nuclear war forever. Because people who came after that would realize just how fucking devastating it is, how many people it kills. So you got to you got to look at the evidence as well. Has there been a nuclear attack? Has anybody used a nuclear weapon on other humans since Oppenheimer, since Nagasaki and Hiroshima? No. There has not been another nuclear attack. Now, you could say, well, there's still nuclear arms buildup, but there has not been, no humans have blown up other humans with nuclear weapons since. So maybe Oppenheimer was right. Maybe his optimism wasn't that ridiculous. He foresaw that when people see the devastation of this thing, right? And I don't think the Japanese would agree with that theory because they lost 200,000 people. And how many, we could still be feeling the effects of the radiation right now. Nobody knows. Maybe that's why people are so fucked up. The radiation of these bombs that were blown up 50 years ago. Nobody knows for sure. Anyway, my name is Mark Sconti, and we'll look at the markets too. It looks like Dow futures are going to open up 25. NASDAQ as well, up 25. S&P 500 up 6. Looking on this channel, looking very closely at RIVN here in the 25 range. Looks like it's going to go higher. Earnings all week long. Google, Microsoft, Facebook, all reporting. Meta reporting this week. So we should have a firecracker of a week in terms of tech earnings. I suspect it'll go up. I don't think Google and Facebook and Microsoft are going to turn around and report bad earnings. Fuzzy accounting, whatever the fuck. So I got a website. And every morning at 9 a.m., we're live right here on YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for joining me in the house. Weevil Girl on the wrench. Cots Philly Camden in the house. Cheeseburger. My brother, Makil Sly, building up for his big vacation. Big vacation. You're gonna make it, Mikkel. You're gonna make it. I hear you on the. You leave everybody behind, and I'll still be here in some form or another. I have staying power. I hope. If I'm still alive, who knows? Fucking death comes suddenly sometimes. I don't feel like I'm dying. I feel like I'm awakening, really. And David Brown is here, and everybody else is lurking. Thank you all for joining me. And yeah, man. So what else we got? So let's start here. Elon Musk has rebranded Twitter's icon blue bird logo after 17 years. Look at it. There it is in San Francisco. They're photographing or projecting the giant X. They got to get rid of the bird on the hard copy of the logo here. But when you go to Twitter, here's my handle, Twitter. Boom, you see the X. You saw the X. Look, it's X now, right? Here's my website. Here's my site, my place on Twitter. But there it is. There is the X. No more bird. The bird is gone. So Elon Musk and his CEO, Linda Yaccarino, have ditched Twitter's iconic blue bird after nearly 17 years. X is here. Let's do this. Yeah, so there it is. There's the X. It looks like a Roman numeral X. Could also be 10. The Roman numeral X is also 10 or a 1. 1 plus 0 is 1. The number 1, the beginning. I mean, Elon Musk is a kind of mystical, magical dude. I'm sure he's thinking of these things. I see a Roman numeral 10, the number 10. Also, X gets a bad name as crossing something out or X-rated. Is it X-rated or is it number 10? I don't know. But Elon Musk is on the roll. I should have done this a long time ago, Musk said. Sorry it took so long. So they're ditching. You can say whatever you want about Elon Musk. He spent $50 billion on this company, and now he's ditching the logo, and he's very, very optimistic about the future of Twitter. He says Twitter made one massive impression and changed the way we communicate. Now X will go further, transforming global town square. Yes. He paid $44 billion for Twitter. a drop in the bucket for Elon, the CEO, the creator of fucking Tesla, the automaker, and many other things too, going to the moon. Musk has long been familiar with the letter X, right? X.com. He co-founded X.com in 1999, an online bank. All right. So he's very optimistic. He thinks Musk acquired this. He's going to make the platform bigger and better. All right, so they rebranded. Twitter is now rebranded as X. We'll see how that works out for him. More evidence coming down the pipe that Hunter Biden put then VP Dad Joe on the phone with business associates at least 24 times. Now, Joe Biden is on the record saying, I have nothing to do with any of these people. I don't know what Hunter was doing. I have no ties to anybody. He's on the record over and over saying it's all bullshit. But now they've got an informant. Hunter Biden would dial in his father, then Vice President Joe Biden, on speakerphone into meetings with his overseas business partners, according to testimony expected before Congress this week from Devin Archer, the first son's former best friend. Hunter Biden had a friend, if you can imagine, and it was a best friend. And the best friend was in the room when this shit happened, when Daddy was on the speakerphone. Now, if this was the ambassador to Ukraine or the ambassador to Russia talking to the president with some other government representative, that would be different. What you're talking about is quid pro quo Joe doing side deals with his son to get money, to get influence, to take that money and offer influence through his position as vice president by arguably leaning on Obama and other high-ranking cabinet members. So Obama's also got his hands dirty here too. You could see why they go after Trump so hard. To make the story go away. They don't want it to go away. But they're very corrupt people, right? Yeah. While, and look, the elections in this country are fucked up. And it doesn't look like, well, I'm going to leave that alone. I'm not going to go there right now. It's a different story. The House Oversight Committee, Archer, 48, who is facing jail for his role in a $60 million bond fraud, is scheduled to testify before the House Oversight Committee. All right, so Archer, the best friend of Hunter Biden, is facing jail. All right, they got a gun to his head. You're going to jail, man. So coercion in politics is Hunter Biden's best friend being coerced into these saying bad things about Dada Biden. There's a remote possibility that is true. But let's hear the testimony. So we're going to hear more testimony, one-of-a-kind testimony from someone who was in the room more than fucking 24 times, 24 times, 24 times at least. Let's call it 25. There's a guy, Devin Archer, who was in the room when Hunter Biden dialed his father and had Joe Biden, Vice President of the United States, on the phone doing deals in Ukraine. When Joe Biden said, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. Right? Fucking straight up lying mother effers, right? Joe Biden, either in person or via speakerphone, when Hunter would call his father and introduce him to foreign business partners or prospective investors. That's why Hunter Biden was over there. Hunter Biden got how many, $86,000 a month to sit on to sit on the board of Burisma and do nothing about oil and gas other than how to dial the phone to the White House and get his father on the phone because he was the son, and the daddy would always pick up the phone for his son. That's all he had. I dial my father and he picks up the phone and he listens to what I'm saying. That's it. And then he goes back to the hotel and he smokes crack and bangs hookers. We are looking forward very much to hearing from Devin Archer about all times he has witnessed Joe Biden meeting with Hunter Biden's overseas partners when he was vice president, including on speakerphone, says James Comer, the Republican committee chairman. They're going after him. They're going to lock him up. They're going to lock him up. Hunter Biden's going to get locked up. Joe Biden's going to get locked up. Donald Trump, everybody's going to jail. Everybody's going to jail. They're all a bunch of criminals. And we should know about it. We should know about it. Here he is. Very, he looks like a movie star. This fucking guy. They should cast him in the next Godfather or the next mobster movie. Guy looks like a gangster. Look at this guy. Is this just a photograph? Look at the gangster in him. Collar up, the slick back hair, the devil eyes. It's a gangster. There he is, Devin Archer, 46. He looks like he's about 70. And there he is playing golf. He's playing golf with Joe and Dada, right? So clearly a best friend. You don't get a photo op like this. You don't get the photo op playing golf with the president of the United States and the son and the rest of them. So there you go. There's more. We'll wait and we'll hear from Devin Archer to see if any of it is believable. Again, Devin Archer has a gun to his head. He's facing jail for fucking bank fraud. So he might say whatever he needs to say to get the fuck out of it. Possibly. So what else? Look at this freaky video. Look at this woman. This thing right here is going to try to taste two different drinks at once because she has two different tongues, and she has painted the whites of her eyes black. We live in a distorted world. Is this real? Yeah, feline. It's a real person. So. Anyway, Oppenheimer sex scene. Let's talk about it. Let's jump right into the Oppenheimer sex scene. So I saw the movie. I told you I saw the movie. It's 3 hours. It seems to be relatively accurate storytelling. It was. You got to remember too. Why did the Americans ultimately drop a bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima after they had already burned the fucking place to the ground, and the Japanese were, effectively defeated? Well, you got to roll it back. During, there was a war raging, and Hitler was overthrowing Europe. Hitler was ready to fucking take all of Europe. He took England. He took Italy. He took France. He took Poland. It fucking took everything, right? And there was not just speculation, but pretty concise science on the ground that Hitler was about to develop a nuclear bomb. And because of the scientists there were working on it. And the same scientists that were here knew the scientists over there were working on it, and confirmed that, yes, they're in the process of building it. So there went the race. Oppenheimer led the race to build the bomb. But why did they drop it on Japan? Why Japan? Because the U.S. had already been in, and the West, all of Europe, had been in a fucking war for 5 years with Hitler, right? England, fucking London almost got blown to pieces. Right? The only country that didn't get bombed was Italy because he sided with Hitler. Smartly, right? The Italians said, "Oh yeah, we're with Mussolini. We're with Hitler." Right? And they were spared the bombing. Right? The Germans just walked in and took over for a little while. But you got to remember the sentiment on the ground, right? After Hitler had been killed, right? After Hitler had been killed, right? the war was over. The World War II was effectively over once Hitler had been killed and the Germans surrendered. However, the Japanese, they weren't done yet. They were too busy. They were ready to take over China. They were taking over Asia. And they said, we'll never surrender. And who are they surrendering to? Why did we need Japan to surrender? Because they sided with Hitler. So, and then there was a brazen attack in Hawaii, Pearl Harbor. The Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor during World War II, escalating the conflict. So Truman just basically said, you know what? Get us the bomb, and we're going to blow these motherfuckers up. And that's what Truman did. Truman, cavalierish as it could be, wanted to end the war. And he foresaw blowing up Japan, who was the only last holdout, blowing them up and showing them that not only once, it wasn't a mistake or an aberration. We did it twice. We blew it up, Hiroshima, and then Nagasaki got another whack. And that was Truman's contribution to the world. He used the bomb. So that's Oppenheimer. That's the story of Oppenheimer, if you're not familiar. Oppenheimer's sex scene, though, is condemned in India. This is a direct assault. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, India? A sex scene in the highly anticipated drama Oppenheimer is being slammed by Indian officials who claim the scene is, quote, a scathing attack on Hinduism. Oh, come on. That is bullshit right there. That's bullshit. Calling bullshit. Reading from a book and first of all, India, most people don't know what the Bhagavad Gita even is. They don't even know who Krishna is or Shiva or any of these other deities that you're talking about. Be grateful that they're telling the West who these people are and what is in the book. Remember, the book that they're reading from is about war. It's Krishna advising his followers about how to prevail in war and defend the Dharma. They were defending it's not necessarily Hinduism, but they were defending the Buddha Dharma, the teaching of the Buddha, which is mindfulness, basically, meditation. That will set you free. This is fucking twisted, right? But anyway, so in the film, Civilian Murphy, 47, Gene Tackler are engaged in sexual intercourse until Gene walks over to a bookshelf and grabs a copy of the Bhagavad Gita and asks Murphy to read from it. Now, Oppenheimer is allegedly was able to read a little bit of Sanskrit, enough to know what was being said. He also understood Dutch. He was able to speak Dutch. He was a very fascinating human being, Oppenheimer. Oppie then reads the line, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds. I am become death, destroyer of worlds," as the duo resumes sexual intercourse. So the scene is basically the girls, they're in bed. Oppenheimer's laying on his back. The girl's riding him. And she stops, walks over to a bookshelf, and pulls this book out in Sanskrit and tells him to read it while she's still riding him. And he reads it, and that's what he reads from the book about Krishna and war. And it says, "I am become death, destroyer of worlds," which is what Oppenheimer came to believe when he saw how devastating the test blast was. When they tested the bomb out in Los Alamos, New Mexico, the first time they tested it, they were like, they couldn't believe that they did it, right? The explosion was unfucking believable, right? The line is said to be what the real-life Oppenheimer thought as the first nuclear bomb exploded. Right? He was maybe he was a Buddhist. Maybe he learned from this book. God damn it! Because there was sex involved. Oh, you don't think Krishna and Shiva and the rest of the deities had sex? You think that was something then? No, that you made that shit up now. The monks, the Buddha never said don't have sex. That's fucking. He said don't have inappropriate sex, meaning don't fuck your neighbor's wife, or don't screw your neighbor's mother. That's what he was talking about. He wasn't talking about reproduction and sex, which is a distortion, right? Thousands of Indians flocked to see the movie upon its premiere last week, but many of them began protesting on social media immediately after the scene. How dare you read a holy book while you're having sex? You're supposed to sit in quiet contemplation. We tell you how to read the book. Right? Religions, that's what they do. You read the book our way or don't read it at all. You can't read it while you're enjoying yourself. You're pleasuring yourself. How dare you? How ridiculous. Read the book any way you want to read the book. I don't have to read the book your way. I read the book. And be honored that Oppenheimer even knew what the book was. So is this Hollywood just yanking the crank of Sanskrit India? No. A lot of Jews that know, they know meditation. They know Buddha Dharma. There's no conflict there at all. A lot of Christians have a conflict with Buddha Dharma because they think that it's deity worship, or it overrides the idea of a god, and it doesn't. It doesn't do any of those things. But certainly the Jews know that. Jews have no conflict with Buddhism at all. In fact, many of the leading teachers in meditation happen to be Jews in America. Sharon Salzberg and what's that other guy's name? All of them. They're all fucking Jews. Jews all over Buddhism. So I don't think that it was the Jew attack. The Jews fucking doing it, spinning Hinduism for money. They threw it in there because they thought it was good. Yeah, the Bhagavad Gita. So he's reading the Bhagavad Gita while riding him, and I'd say get over yourself. What is the Bhagavad Gita? In Sanskrit, the song by God, often referred to as Gita. 700-verse Hindu script, which is part of the epic blah, blah, blah. It forms the chapters of the blah, 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 called Bhishma Prabhava. That's a lot of nonsense, right? But it's a dialogue. Essentially, it's a dialogue between Pandava Prince Aruna and the Krasmas, Lord Shiva, right? Also the avatar Vishnu, right? So we know Krishna, Hare Krishna. Right? We know Krishna. Everybody knows who Krishna is, and that's what the book was about. It was a piece that Krishna was advising a then prince about how to go to war and do it ethically and or in self-defense or in self-righteousness, which it's probably the same, right? War is war, but there you go, right? So after the Buddha had died, this is after the Buddha. There's Krishna telling you how to have war peacefully or ethically. I disagree with that. I don't think there is any ethic war. There's no way ethically to kill anybody unless they are, I don't know. I mean, some Buddhists and people of this mind frame say that no matter what, you don't retaliate. I disagree with that. I think that there is self-preservation to some degree. One must preserve oneself and defend oneself from annihilation if some psychopath decides to try to kill you. So difference of opinion there. But so the scripture that they're talking about here goes all the way back to the Brahmins. It precedes Christianity, and you're not going to see the scene anywhere because, well, here's the note from Uday Maharaka about he writes a letter to a tweet directly to Christopher Nolan, the director of the film, and says, Namnast for Save Culture, Save India Foundation. It has come to our notice that the movie, see the X flash when you go there? That, I'm not going to read all this. That the movie makes a scathing attack on Buddhism, on Hinduism. So I don't know, man. I think it's an overreaction right there. I think that I don't know. I don't think it was a Hollywood Jew attack on Hinduism. It was just, an interesting clip. And I would say India and your people, get over it, man. Be happy that Christopher Nolan even included your book in a fascinating chapter of American history where the Americans gained control of the bomb and changed everything. And again, I pointed out earlier that Oppenheimer's optimism about building the bomb was that once created and used, Oppenheimer was specific about that. He didn't say you just make it. He says you make it and you use it, and it demonstrates to the world just how devastating this fucking thing is, and that you don't want to go there, right? You don't ever want to go there. Right? Oppenheimer was also quite clear that other scientists around the world would develop a nuclear bomb. It wasn't, the United States was first. Oppenheimer was the first to do it. They split the atom. The atom had been split in Germany. They read about it, and then were able to do it in a laboratory here in the U.S. And they got out ahead of it. Right? But it would have been a devastating thing if Hitler would have acquired the bomb earlier. He certainly would have used it. There's no doubt about that. If Hitler had a nuclear bomb, he would have thrown it at the United States. He probably would have thrown it at Russia. Right? He probably would have bombed Moscow, bombed New York. No doubt about it. So did Truman? You got to ask yourself: did Truman do the right thing by blowing up and following Oppenheimer's optimism by blowing up Japan, and for the fact that it would show the world how devastating the bomb is, or should he have let it go because Germany had already been defeated? Right? The fear was that Japan would escalate and or continue the war. And everybody in the country at the time wanted the soldiers to come home, at least the ones that were still alive. Right? The ones that had, all over Europe, they wanted them to come home and not get redirected to Japan to fight off the fucking, crazy Japanese who were fighting the Chinese. In complete balance, the Japanese weren't completely innocent in that. The Japanese were on the other side of the world overthrowing people and believing that they were still supreme. Right? They underestimated the psychiatry, the psychopatry, the psychoness of the United States to blow them to pieces, right, and kill 200,000 people. That's what the Japanese failed to realize. After we burned it, then blew it up. But so Israel is on fire. It looks like Netanyahu is pushing I don't want to watch this. There's protests everywhere, but this is why.
Taken to the streets to protest the new government of Benjamin Netanyahu, who's returned to power for a 6th term as Israel's prime minister. He's formed a coalition with extremist political parties whose far-right and ultra-religious...
So there's a lot of rallying going on in Israel right now. The people are uprising. It happens all the time in history. But it does look like a fairly large rallies are forming against Netanyahu, who is headstrong on making Israel and the Jewish religion, as he knows it, one. Putting the two together permanently.
Religious agendas have long existed on the outer margins of Israeli politics. They've proposed reforms that could undermine the country's independent judiciary and threaten some groups' civil rights.
We care about our rights, like women's rights and Palestinian people rights, homosexuality, everything.
You moved here from LA.
Correct.
In the 70s.
Correct.
Is this the Israel that you moved to, that you believed in?
The question makes me cry. Obviously not. No. This is so far from anything I would have ever imagined that happened. It's hard to see this.
Moshe Chertoff moved to Israel 50 years ago to build a life in a socialist community known as a kibbutz.
This is, in essence, an agricultural commune.
In the time since he immigrated, Chertoff says Israel has shifted significantly to the right, and the majority of communities like his have privatized. He fears the ultra-religious and ultra-national.
All right. So there's the Jew who moved to Israel and lived in a kibbutz for 30 years, saying that, all right, well, it's time to roll it back a little bit. I'm already here, and stop the religious Jewish fucking invasion of Palestine. I don't think in our lifetime, I don't think that the Israeli government, the Israeli people are ever going to coexist with the Palestinian people there. The idea of a two-party system is getting less and less by the minute. They're building more settlements and pushing Palestine people out more. Is it going to get more violent? Yeah, eventually it does. Yeah, it's like India. Right? The Indians, the people of India and Pakistan lived together for centuries, and they didn't necessarily like each other, but they coexisted. And then it just shit hit the boiling point, and then they started killing each other, and then you had Pakistan and India become separate countries. I don't know. That's a different situation. In Israel, the Palestinian people don't have that type of ammunition to fight off the Israelis. Remember, Israel, the Israeli side of Israel, the Jew side of Israel, has nuclear bombs and F-16 fighters. They could flatten the West Bank, literally turn it into ocean if they wanted. The Israeli people, the Israeli government, Netanyahu, could put a bomb in the middle of the West Bank. Not the West Bank, there's too many Jews there, but certainly in Gaza, and blow it up and bring the ocean line all the way into fucking, closer to Israel, right? Just eviscerate it, right? That's the potential they have to do it. The Palestinian people have no ability to do that. They're like still, they've been kept primitive and away from arms. So it's not really a fair fight over there.
Nationalist hardliners in the new government now have the power to remake the fabric of Israeli society.
How dare you now protest? Now the Israeli people are protesting. It's been going in this direction for fucking 50 years. And now they're outraged at a right-wing government with all our ideologies of getting rid of the Palestinian people and making it a Jewish state are all coming to fruition. Now we have a problem.
In the beginning of the state, there was some separation between church and state. Now there's not only no separation, the new government is giving them powers.
There was never separation, Mr. Jew. Mr. New York Jew who moved to Israel 30 years ago to live in a kibbutz. There never was a separation. It was the Jewish state of Israel from its conception. This is the Jewish land.
To be able to say that doctors should be able to decide not to serve patients because it doesn't meet their religious beliefs. What? Whose religious beliefs? I don't know.
The Jewish religious beliefs. Why? I don't believe that.
I understand what kind of extreme Judaism that is. It's definitely not the Judaism that I knew, or that I'd say 75% of American Jews know.
If the
75%. Well, so I disagree with Mr. Jew from New York, living in Israel in a kibbutz. You knew it. You knew what you were doing. You knew that going to Israel required removing the Palestinian people and a lot of what they had, enjoyed for 4,000 years. You knew going there after World War II was a fucking a land grab, motherfucker.
Situation continues as it's going.
I don't want to talk about Jews anymore. So let's look. The market's open. Holy shit, we're open. Ding! Oh my God! Look at RIVN racing up. Go! So the Nasdaq is the Dow Jones Industrial Average up 99. Dow is now comfortable over 35,000, 35,327. Very, very strong. S&P 500, that's back to where before the dip. You remember the big dip after America's in recession, everything's going to crumble, and it did a nosedive. Well, it's right back where it nosedived from. It's almost ready to break to a new high. Dow Jones high is only 36.5, I believe. Another 1,000 points, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average is at a record high, all-time high. NASDAQ is at 14. That's got to get up over, that's about 2,000 points away from the high. S&P 500, Jamie Dimon had it almost exact, said the S&P 500 will be 4,700 by the end of the year. He was right. He was fucking right, man. Always listen to Jamie Dimon. So let's look at the big board. Let's see how technology is holding up because they're facing earnings this week. As I said, RIVN is up 81 cents. Go, go, go. The NASDAQ is up. Let's look at the big board. Excuse me. Apple up $2.12. Amazon flat, down 20 cents. Google facing earnings this week, up $1.79. That's significant. It looks like Wall Street is anticipating maybe a higher than expected Google number. Facebook down $1 right now. $1. What's $1? Microsoft up 50 cents, also facing earnings. Nvidia up 20 cents. Tesla down another $1 on their, I don't know, they didn't fill out their fucking paperwork correctly, and Wall Street perceived it as a loss or something. So that's taking a little bit of a hit. Bitcoin down $700 to 29.1. Can't get over 30 and stay. Bitcoin can't stay over 30,000 for some reason. What else we got? Lockheed Martin up 64 cents. Raytheon up 50 cents. Boeing up 86 cents. Those are the military industrial complex stocks. We saw Oppenheimer. I'll say one. I want to give one other review of Oppenheimer. I thought it was very. There was moments there where it was very pro-war. The beginning part of it was very pro-war, that the Americans were defending their democracy and ridding the world of evil by building the bomb. You remember those days in the 40s? And then they laid the bomb down and it ended the war. The war was already over, but it successfully confirmed that the world changed when the bomb blew up. That's a fact, but it also proves that it created a military-industrial complex. And Oppenheimer was correct to predict that the nuclear bomb would become matter of fact. Everybody has it now. Everybody has a nuclear bomb. Russia has tons of them. China has them. Pakistan has them. India has them. Israel has it. You gotta imagine that Saudi Arabia has it too. You could see Saudi Arabia having nuclear bombs. It's fucking Saudi Arabia. It's got billions of dollars in oil, and they can just order up some nuclear bombs. They call up fucking Biden and say, yeah, we need some. We'd like to get some nuclear warheads to protect ourselves, and we need them installed. and the U.S. and Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Boeing get over there, dig some holes, put in the silos. And set up the control tower in the fucking prince's living room. So now the prince and the sheiks of Saudi Arabia can blow up anybody they want. Why? Because they paid for it, motherfucker. Because that's how the world works. You got to imagine that Saudi Arabia has a couple of bombs stashed away somewhere just in case. If shit gets bad and Israel tries to knock off Saudi Arabia is going to shoot back, in my view. So, anyway, war games, man, war games. So we're holding. Up there, NASDAQ slipped a little bit. Come on, man. And Rivian slipped too. All these stocks, they bounce in early, and then they seem to want to retreat. Why is Rivian going down? It was just fucking up a second ago. That was an expensive minute. We were all the way up to 26.6. Now we're down to 25. Come on, RIVN, make a move. So anyway, Mark Sconti reporting. Thank you all for joining me, and have a good week. It's Monday. Thank God it's Monday, and really rip to Tony Bennett. I'll play this song again, man, because this is so good. I left my heart in San Francisco. Please don't make us watch commercials. We gotta watch a commercial. I'm not listening to this shit. Commercials. My feed is jammed. I don't know why we're jamming here. Oh, there it is. There it is. This is how you get pushed. This is, here we go. This is how you get the ads pushed.